Mamma mia, Mario is a mega seller, and so are many other Nintendo Switch first-party titles. What's going on, everyone? It's Zach from Switch Force. Gabe is here, and in their financials call, Nintendo revealed their million seller milestone list. And this list, to my surprise, has 6 titles on it from the Switch's first 9 months. Now, let's get the big boy out of the way first, which is Super Mario Odyssey, pushing 9.07 million copies in 2 months, which is insane. That's an incredible amount of Marios running around. And a quick little aside, EA came out disappointing with Battlefront 2 sales, which they said were at 9 million, so Mario Odyssey pushed more copies on the Switch than Battlefront 2 was able to push across all platforms. Kind of just a real interesting note that accentuates how massive Mario Odyssey was this past year.
Yeah, tremendous success. I don't know how that happens. Honestly, like PC, Xbox One, PS4, way more of those out there than there are Switch, but yet, Nintendo fans still came out and made Mario the absolutely biggest success possible. That's an insane number.
Not far behind is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe at 7.33 million copies sold. Granted, it had far many more months to accomplish that, but still, absolute mega numbers for another Switch game. And to some people's surprise, it surpassed The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which now sits at 6.7 million copies, which is still a very incredible number. And I think, Gabe, you pointed out it's now the second highest selling Zelda.
Yes, Twilight Princess is the only other Zelda that sold more than it, but that has the unfair advantage of being on 3 platforms at this point. So it was on GameCube, it was on Wii, and then it got re-released on Wii U. So they are counting all of those into that one. I did want to point something out about Mario Kart, Zach. 7.33 million, very close to what it sold on Wii U. So the fact that, almost the same amount of people bought it on Switch definitely indicates that title has either A, it has incredible legs and people don't mind rebuying it, or B, a lot of people just didn't get to play it on Wii U like we originally had said. So that's really cool. But yeah, I'm happy that Breath of the Wild is now the second best selling Zelda. And again, there's an asterisk for the first one, Twilight Princess. That's really solid numbers.
Right, and both of those titles are evergreen in terms of new Switch owners will be jonesing, I think, to jump on either of those trains until the next one comes out. Mario Kart 9, we hope, is realized on Switch, and I think there's got to eventually be another Zelda on Switch, but we'll save that for a future discussion. Let's look at some of these other ones here. Splatoon 2 pushing nearly 5 milli at 4.91 million copies, which is pretty darn cool. That is a great number for an IP that initially people were very skeptical of, found success on Wii U, and then just really just swallowed a whole lot more ink on Switch. And I still think that game is incredible, especially because it's receiving updates frequently, right? We've seen a lot of Nintendo's other titles kind of slow down DLC-wise. Splatoon 2, they still got you covered.
Well, yeah, it has to do with the incredible focus on multiplayer and the fact that community is still thriving. It's incredibly easy to jump on there, find a match, and they want to keep that player base there for as long as possible. And, almost 5 million of them at this point. Really, really cool. I think a Splatoon 3 at some point is all but assured at this point. This is so successful that there's no way that it doesn't happen.
Yeah, it's quickly become one of their major franchises, kind of out of nowhere when it first was announced. So that's very, very, very wonderful. Let's get a little feel-good story in here. Gabe, ARMS, another brand new IP, pushed 1.61 million units, which I think is gotta make Nintendo happy and gotta make fans happy. I know there's always sort of that schism in the comments of is ARMS really popular and people are really into it, or did it die off and fall off fast and it's not selling many? We know that the online community has hardened to this very hardcore level of skill and competition. They have stopped major updates, but they did release quite a few additional characters, and I still think it is one of the coolest experiences on Switch, especially locally, where you don't even have to deal with online or superstar talent that you may come across.
Yeah, I think the 1.61 million, totally respectable. I don't know if Nintendo expected more from it, but the fact that it is a very kid-friendly looking fighting game, it's a hard game to have people get into, right? Just because, especially now, you touched on, the level of play online is insane. It's going to be impossible. But if you do have friends, local fun is where it's at. 1.61, I think that's totally respectable. It's obviously not a hit, but I don't think it's a flop either.
No, yeah, I mean, competing against Mario and Zelda and Mario Kart in the first year, and even now Splatoon, we have to rank up there, is tough. And so the fact that it was able to push that many is still pretty cool. Xenoblade Chronicles 2, very respectable, coming in over 1 million at 1.06, I think, for an RPG of that, again, style, and with only a couple weeks to sell. They got to feel good about that.
This one is way huge, like, in my opinion. Getting to 1 million with this, that is really, really good, because it is such a niche genre. JRPGs like this, they don't typically like sell a whole lot, so to hit 1 million, I know that the director of the game, like, he was incredibly happy that people liked the game as much as they did, and they were out there supporting it. So, like everything else here, I think the only one I'm skeptical about getting a sequel is ARMS. I definitely think we get more Xenoblade in the future, especially on Switch. They, made year one with this, so maybe by the last year's Switch we can get another Xenoblade. But it's awesome that that's also now becoming a franchise that Nintendo has covered. JRPGs, fighting games, we have Mario, platforming, shooters with Splatoon. They're wide range of genres covered here, and that's great.
Absolutely, and it's cool to think about it in the context of 14 million Switch sold, or 14.86 million Switch sold. Because you think of it that way, 2/3 of Switch owners have Mario Odyssey, half of Switch owners have Mario Kart 8, a little more than about a third have Splatoon 2, a little less than half have Breath of the Wild, and then about 12% have ARMS, and 8-ish% have Xenoblade. The one that surprised me on that list is half for Zelda. That half of Switch owners don't have Breath of the Wild.
Yeah. Zelda was never as popular as we thought it was. Or just, it was made out to be in the beginning, just because it was like the big game at launch. So we had that like over 90% attach rate thing. Like, that was never going to remain the case, right? Remember when there was more Zelda copies sold than there was like Switches sold?
For sure.
People were just buying it in preparation. But, it's a very strong franchise, but obviously it isn't Mario. It doesn't have that wide appeal. I mean, it does have wide appeal, it's just not the same level of wide appeal.
Right. The weird part to me is, since it was at such a high level, so many of the new Switch owners just didn't buy it. And I don't know if that's because they were enamored with Mario Odyssey, with Xenoblade Chronicles 2, with, other options around the holiday season, but the attach rate was so high initially, right?
Yeah.
That it's odd to see it drop down to 50, less than 50%.
I mean, it's just under 50. So even that, like, let's say 48% attach rate or something like that, that's still incredibly good. So, I mean, I think that's something to be like skittish about. The game still sold really well, and it was game of the year for a ton of outlets, including us last year. And I do think it still continues to sell. You pointed out a lot of Switch were sold for holiday, and I would imagine a good number of them bought Mario Odyssey. They're gonna come back and get Breath of the Wild. They probably just couldn't afford to get it all at once.
For sure, and I think that will also continue to boost Mario Odyssey, because 5 million, nearly 6 million Switch owners don't have Mario Odyssey. I feel like that one is one that does have an insane attach rate, even as the system continues to sell. But hey, good work all around. It was a great year for first party, as evidenced now by this million seller list that is at 6 for a brand new system. That's great. Can
we talk about the omissions, though? Pokken, Fire Emblem Warriors, not on here. I just want to point that out. Just, what does that say? What does that mean? Pokken, another re-release, kind of like Mario Kart, just didn't do as well. Fire Emblem,
I think if you were going to look at that list and add those in as 8, I think that those would be the two, to me at least, that you would guess wouldn't make it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also, though, ARMS, being a fighter and being a very unique fighter, interesting that it did overtake Pokken. And granted, it's a brand new game, so there's a lot of appeal. They really pushed it around E3 time, so I'm sure that benefited it quite a lot. But good to see that Nintendo can come up with new ideas that have a solid chance at, in some ways, and in some cases, outselling their old ideas. And I think that just is great for us going forward, that we will have fresh fun to play on our Nintendo consoles forevermore, hopefully. Until that time, everybody, thanks so much for watching. Let us know your take on these 6 million sellers. Which one surprises you? Which one did you think would be higher? Are you at all intrigued by the fact that more than half of Switch owners don't have Breath of the Wild, or is it something that early Switch owners are passing along their copies to new Switch owners? Who knows? We will definitely be curious to see your thoughts down in the comments. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all the latest and greatest from the Switch and sales figures like these. Until the time, though, for myself and Gabe, Switch Force out.